Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the newspaper review where we get to analyze all of the front page of the dailies that we have with us in the house today. It's a beautiful morning so far from this side of Lagos. I do hope it's a beautiful one wherever you are listening to me from right now. So many things has been on the news. So many things that has been going on. I start with a good news of the people that were kidnapped in Ondo State over the weekend that gained back their freedom. The 9 surveyors, if I'm not mistaken, who were kidnapped regained their freedom yesterday, so that's good news. We're so happy for the families because I can imagine how elated they will be knowing that their fathers, their brothers, their uncles are back home with their loved ones. Really, really good news. And we do hope this will stern something that will lead the Nigerian security agencies to make sure something like this not happen again. To make sure that the Nigerian security agencies will be working so hard to put Nigeria back to that position where insecurity is not as loud as this. There's no nation in the world where there's no security issues, but the question is, how loud is it? Is it something that every single day their citizens can't sleep with their eyes closed? That is the situation we are right now in Nigeria. It's not every part of Nigeria, but at least a good number of states, a good number of locations, a good number of local governments can't sleep with their 2 eyes closed. Numbers of local government have been displaced. We still find thousands and thousands of people who are still located in IDP camps in different parts of Nigeria today. They've not been able to go back home. They've been displaced for years and they've not been able to go back home. So we need to get those people back home. Until then, before we can say, oh, okay, security is beginning to level up. But when we have situations where people have been displaced for years, until date, they've not been able to go back home, it means one thing and one thing only. Where they were displaced from, it's no longer home for them. It has been inhabited by something else, or maybe bandits and all of that. We can't be so sure, but the fact that they can't go back home, it means it's not livable anymore. We need to make sure that these people go back home. We need to make sure that Nigerians can move at any hour of the day and be sure that security is guaranteed. We need to make sure that Nigerians can go to different locations of Nigeria and be certain that they can go smoothly and come back smoothly without having to worry about kidnapping, without having to worry about bandits. We need to secure Nigeria today, not tomorrow, not next tomorrow. We need to secure Nigeria today. And it's not only the government, you the people as well. What part are you playing in making sure Nigeria is secure? When you see something, do you say something? Or do you support or do you condone the actions of these people who are making things hard for the country? What do you do when you find yourself in those situations? Do you speak up? Do you speak to authority? It really matters that we play our own part in making sure Nigeria is a secured country. It is the newspaper review right on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. Once again, I say good morning to you. My name is Uche Okori, and I'll be here up until 8 a.m. analyzing all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies that we have with us today. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation if you call us up on 0704 425 2109, 0704 425 2109, or you can reach us via WhatsApp or your regular text message on 0907 224 5018, 0907 224 5018. All your social media handles, we're on Twitter, Twitter, known now as X. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. On X at impact 1021 FM, same as Instagram, impact 1021 FM, and TikTok, impact 1021 FM, HI impact 1021 FM. We are on Facebook at our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. We are streaming live on YouTube. Yes, you can watch us live right now on YouTube at our Impact 102.1 FM. So yes, that is how you can get to be part of the program. You can get to share your thoughts. You can get to tell us what you think, how you think things can be better in the country. So that is it for. So let's go straight into the papers this morning. Don't go nowhere. It is our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. It is the newspaper review. Moving straight to the papers this morning, we will be starting with the Daily Trust. Let's start with the Guardian instead. The Guardian says, fresh huddle for Fubara as Assembly Wike party insist on impeachment. You find that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. The Rivers crisis continues every single day. Since after the Supreme Court judgment, if you know the Nigerian political scene, we've seen so many things that have popped up, and you would guess this is the line of action that might go, because we know that the two parties, in terms of the party, the pro-Wike party and the pro-Fubara faction, we know they are at loggerheads. We know the pro-Wike faction has maximum numbers of the people in the House of Assembly in Rivers State, over 25 if I'm not mistaken, or 25 or thereabout. We know Fubara has lesser numbers than that. So if it comes to a situation whereby the House of Assembly members are saying, okay, we have a reason to want to impeach the sitting governor, do you think he's going to escape it? When it's obvious over 20 members are not in support, at least that is what we saw, allegedly not in support. And we've seen Fubara try to, run the state with few members that were available for him when the other 20-something members were not available. So we guess those ones are still in support of Fubara. But how does all of these things happening at the moment, how does it benefit the average people from Rivers State? Because at the end of the day, they are the ones bearing the brunt of all the dances happening by these political giants. And let's just see how things pans out. Let's just see what happens in the coming days, because Rivers State will be an interesting polity in the next few days and the next few weeks. We'll see so many things. We saw Wike on national TV yesterday blowing hot, talking about different tribes and the majority and minority, and the roles that they get to play and all of that. But it's so much. It's so much. So you should be expecting that in the coming days, in the coming weeks, you will be hearing so much more happening in Rivers State. Let's see how that pans out, and we will be here to make sure we give you all of the details and analyze all of the stories for you to better understand what is going on in Rivers State. That story is on page 6 on the Guardian newspaper, so in case you want to check it out, you need to go look at the Guardian for you to find out all of those details. We have on the front page images of the president, Wike, Fubara, the Chief Justice of the nation. So in case, I think that has to do with the story of the Rivers State and the impeachment saga about to go on in Rivers State. Underneath that one, FCT sex workers lose fundamental rights suit to FG. FCT sex workers lose fundamental rights suit to FG. In case you want to find out what that is all about, you need to go look at page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. Beside it, Fixed Politics flees Senate suspension of Akpoti Uduaghan. Fixed Politics flays Senate suspension of Akpoti Uduaghan. You find that story on page 7. That is about the Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan, who was suspended for 6 months by the current Senate. She has also been to the United Nations just to talk about this particular situation too. So it's not ending anytime soon, we might guess. Underneath this one, we see pro-panel questions police NDLEA on correctional facilities congestion. You find that story on page 30. Underneath it, power plants face shutdown as FG pays only 20% of 1.9 trillion naira subsidy debt. Power plants face shutdown as FG pays only 20% of 1.9 trillion naira subsidy debt. Beside that one, Isale co-descendant secure ruling against public viewing of Gangs of London. Isale co-descendant secure ruling against public viewing of Gangs of London. You find that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Above it, Tinubu wades into Lagos Assembly crisis, meets lawmakers at Villa. You find that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Underneath the nameplate of the Guardian this morning, El-Rufai hasty move Roy's SDP as loyalists seek rejig of NWC. El-Rufai's hasty move Roy's SDP as loyalists seeking rejig of NWC. Find that story on page 3. Beside it, FG developing database to track producers of IEDs others. You find that story on page 3. And finally, on the Guardian newspaper this morning, we see this one says Senate sides gross misconduct for Akpoti Uduaghan suspension, denies social harassment link. That one you find on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper this morning, and that's the much that we can take for the Guardian this morning. From the Guardian straight to the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The Daily Trust leads with this one. We will defend Governor Fubara. That's according to Ijaw groups. It has 3 riders to that story. It says how Assembly denied Governor entry to present budget. Not criminal if he's impeached. That's according to Wike. Underneath that one, legal expert. Only compromise can resolve deadlock. Only compromise can resolve deadlock. You find that story on page 4 and 5 of the Daily Trust this morning, talking about the Ijaw groups defending Governor Fubara. I think that has to do with the statement where Governor Wike was talking about the Ijaw group not being a majority in Rivers State, and the Ijaw group not being a majority in most of those states, and them not having the powers to actually be governor in most of those states. He spoke about the late Edwin Clark, gave respect to the late Edwin Clark, and mentioned that Edwin Clark is from Delta State and has no time produced an Ijaw governor or presented an Ijaw man as governor in Delta State. He said the only place, that is according to Governor Wike now, where an Ijaw man can actually be governor and, go contest and be governor is in Bayelsa State, and said it is because of the benevolence of the people of Rivers State. It is why an Ijaw man can actually be governor of Rivers State. And the Ijaw group, coming out to defend Governor Fubara. So much will be seen in the coming days, like I said before. So you just have to keep your eye out for what's going to happen in Rivers State. He said also that it is not illegal for Fubara to be impeached. So you can guess where all the or the rumor of impeachment is coming out from, because underneath there are talks that it is possible that the governor of Rivers State might be impeached. We also noticed that he went, so as to submit the budget, which he wrote that he will be coming to present to the House, but he was prevented from entering the House of Assembly. So allegedly, that it was prevented from entering the House of Assembly to present the budget. So many things going on, so many things happening in Rivers State right now. The only thing we are sure about is the people are being affected by it, because governance is not doing 100% at the moment, where the governor and the assembly are at loggerheads. We do hope they resolve it as soon as possible, and just like this legal expert said, probably compromise is the only way they can get to resolve this issue at the moment. We wish them best of luck. We wish the Rivers State people best of luck, because it is their it is their lives that matters the most. It is what happens to them that matters the most. Underneath it, we see a huge image here, and this image has to do with Governor Similayo Fubara at the Rivers State House of Assembly complex to present the 2025 budget yesterday, where it was alleged that he was, prevented from doing so. Underneath it, World Kidney Day. We spend over 150,000 naira on dialysis every week. That's according to patients. We spend over 150,000 naira on dialysis every week. You find that story on page 3. Underneath it, there's a rider to that story. It says, seek expanded access to FG's subsidized treatment program. This is from the patients. And two things I take out of this particular story is, you listening at the moment who is healthy, who doesn't have kidney issues, you should take necessary steps to make sure it remains that way. It is really expensive to maintain. It is really expensive when you find yourself in this situation. For you to have dialysis every week, you're spending over 150,000 naira. That is so much money. So for those of you who do not have that situation, it's important you make sure it stays that way. Be healthy, do healthy things, go for runs, drink lots of water, eat well, eat right. I do understand the economic situation is crazy, really, really crazy, but hey, your health is more important. You have to take steps to make sure that you are better. So no matter the situation, try to do things that will make you healthy. It costs you nothing to run. It costs you nothing to jog around your compound or jog around your house. You're not going to pay for that. I do understand that sometimes you know to yourself that, okay, when I finish jogging, what will I eat? I understand that fact. But hey, your health is important. And for the government, I really think it's important when we have situations like this. If we had, good enough health facilities all over the places, and the economy is way better, it will be easier for people to, take care of themselves. They won't even need subsidized treatment. But the situation where we are facing situations like this, it's important for the government to put a hand out to assist some of these people to make sure that this treatment is easier for them to get. If they need to get subsidized, at subsidized rate, at what percentage will the government assist to help them get it at subsidized rates? But overall, it's important that you are healthy. It's important that you take care of yourself so you won't have to find yourself in a situation like this. My heart goes out to everyone who is going through this situation at this point, and hopefully enough resources comes your way so as for you to be able to defeat the issue you are facing at the moment. Kudos to everybody out there struggling to make sure they are healthy. Kudos to everybody out there who have these kidney issues but are still trying to make sure they educate people about how to be better and make sure that they get themselves better as well. It is not easy. And as we celebrate World Kidney Day, we celebrate you guys. We celebrate your tenacity. We celebrate your will to live, your will to survive. And we do hope that everything works out for you easily. Still on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, we see just underneath the nameplate, 6 simple ways to beat extreme heat. 6 simple ways to beat extreme heat. So in case you want to find out what these ways are, yes, you need to go look at the Daily Trust newspaper. The heat is crazy. For the first time in, I don't think I've seen NIMET. Maybe they have, maybe it has happened, but I can't remember the last time we had a sort of heat wave in Nigeria, and it has been crazy. The heat has been sick, power has been poor. It's like there's been a combination of so many things happening at the same time. There's no power, the heat is sick, you can't lay down on the bed, you can't lay down on the couch, you can't even lay down on your towels, because you can imagine what would happen. It is sick, and you have to be careful. Try to hydrate yourself as much as you can. Take as much water as you can so that you can be hydrated, because hey, you do not want to suffer from heat wave. You don't want to suffer from heat stroke. And the heat is so much. I don't understand that at this part of the world, we're used to how hot things might get, but this hot and this sweaty, it is crazy. I don't think we are used to this kind of thing at the moment. So be careful. Drink so much water so as for you to be hydrated as much as possible. And in case you need more tips for how to make sure that you survive the heat, you can go look at the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, as they have 6 simple ways for you to do that. Beside that, Stevie, reps to commence consideration of tax reform bills today. Yes, the tax reform bills is still on, and they're still working on it so as to make sure that the bill comes out for the people. Hopefully it favors the people. Beside that one, finally, on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, again, Senate summons NSA service chiefs. Again, Senate summons NSA service chiefs. The insecurity is crazy. We need to know what's going on. The NSA needs to let us know what is happening. The service chiefs need to let us know what is stopping them from solving the situation as it is at the moment. And we do hope the Senate ask the right questions and demand for the right things to be done to put an end to insecurity in the country. It is our Impact Radio 102.1 FM, 25 minutes before 8 a.m. It is the Morning Impact Show. It is the newspaper review right here, and we are analyzing all of the stories that made front page in some of the dailies. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation if you call us up on 0704 425 2109, or if you reach us via WhatsApp or your regular text message on 0907 224 5018. I take that one more time, 0907 224 5018. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, we will be looking at the rest of the papers this morning. Don't go nowhere. It is a newspaper review right here on 102.1 FM, our Impact Radio. We will be right back.
Welcome to High Impact Studios, the place where creativity meets production perfection. Need an outstanding audio production? We deliver professional jingles, engaging voiceovers, and attention-grabbing radio promos that stand out from the crowd.
If you're in the podcasting world, we've got the ideal recording space for you. Our studio is designed to ensure pristine sound, making it the perfect place to bring your podcast to life.
But we don't stop at audio. Looking for a space to film your next big project? High Impact Studios offers customizable spaces for movie sets and video production,
giving you everything you need to create stunning visuals.
Whatever your vision, High Impact Studios is here to make it a reality.
Let's create something amazing together.
The democracy has not given us peace, but we must tinker with our democracy.
I'm upset with my friend that came before me.
Oh.
Yes, I listened to him and he shocked me by turning things upside down.
But can I say something? Realize that we all have a right to our opinions. Yes. So that's his opinion.
This is On Record, where every word matters.
Then we avail you, our listener, the opportunity of calling into the program to ask questions from our guests on the topic for the day.
Join us as we discuss topical issues from 9 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Mondays to Fridays.
On Record, where every word matters.
High Impact 102.1 FM.
Impact Radio 102.1 FM. In case you're just joining us, this is the newspaper review where we get to analyze all of the stories that made the front page in some of the dailies that we have with us. Today, we've looked at the Daily Trust, we've looked at the Guardian newspaper. It's time for us to look at the Punch and, of course, the Vanguard newspaper. But before then, remember, you can reach us on 0704 425 2109 for your calls. In case you want to reach us via WhatsApp or your regular text message, it is on 0907 224 5018. We're live on YouTube at Impact 102.1 FM. So, hey, go click on the notification button, subscribe to the channel so you can get to know whenever we are live right here in the studio. Straight to the Punch newspaper this morning. Lagos Calabar Highway project wasteful, corrupt. That's according to Obasanjo. You find that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning, and it has right to that story. Says Tinubu ignored protest against 15 trillion naira coastal highway project, faults 21 billion naira spent on VP residents. I think he spoke the mind of so many Nigerians, especially at the part of the 21 billion spent on the VP residents. Some Nigerians feel the coastal highway is not necessary, and they cited reasons like fix the other highways we have in Nigeria, with so many of them in deplorable state at the moment. So why not you go fix the other ones? That's what many Nigerians on social media are claiming. Why not you go fix the other ones? Once these other ones are working optimally, then we can start thinking of building new coastal highways. Like, what's the use of these coastal highways? Remember, tourism at particular beaches were destroyed because of the same coastal highway, and now Obasanjo is saying, hey, it's wasteful, it's not necessary. But the government in their own defense says, hey, it's needed. This coastal highway will help in terms of development coming into the regions, and it's leading from Lagos to Calabar to help in, creating, easier route from the west to the south. So let's see how all that pans out. Some say it's wasteful, some say it's useful, back and forth, back and forth. Let's see how everything pans out. All what is necessary is let it work for the people of Nigeria. At the end of the day, that's what matters the most. Underneath that big story, you get to see an image of the president with the members of the Lagos House of Assembly, with Obasa at his right-hand side, Miranda at his left-hand side, and the rest of the members around them. Underneath that one, we see Natasha. IPU can summon Akpabio, says spokesman. You find that story on page 14 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Beside that one, Ondo killing survivors recount ordeals. Ayedatiwa pledges tight security. That one you find on page 15 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Beside it, PDP crisis. Wike camp kicks as the Kimi panel recommends Anyawu's expulsion. Page 15 is where you will see that story as well. Above the nameplate, just beside the nameplate, Tinubu overrules Akonde's panel, backs Obasa to remain speaker. You find that story on page 14 of the Punch newspaper this morning, and we got to see something right here. This one has to do with the Lagos Economic Development Update, LADU 2025. So, hey, in case you want to find out what that is all about, you need to go look at the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning for you to get the details of that particular unveil. So that's the Punch for this morning. From the Punch straight to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The Vanguard says, Rivers, heavens won't fall if Fubara is impeached. That's according to Wike. Heavens won't fall if Fubara is impeached. It has a couple of writers to the story this morning. It says, Blast governor says he's insincere playing to gallery. Tags Pandef worst organization to rely on. Notes Fubara's Letter to Rivers Assembly useless. Insincere says Fubara demolished assembly complex. Can visit uninvited. 27 lawmakers bar Fubara from entering assembly to present budget. Allege improper communication. Fubara, I am ready to represent budget. You find that story on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. So many things happening in Rivers State. Man, at the end of the day, everything's going to come full circle, and we're going to find out what pans out. That's all we have. Time is the only thing we have at the end of the day that get us to see everything. It either tells you if you succeed or if you fail. We'll get to see everything at the end of the day. Time is what determines it all. So let's see what happens in this Wike and Fubara clash in Rivers State, because this is a huge clash, a clash that started almost immediately after the governor got on seat, after the governor got elected. So it's a huge one, man. It's a really, really huge one. Underneath it, you get to see images of the president with the Lagos lawmakers, just like we saw on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Beside this one, funds delaying core members 77,000 naira pay. That's according to the NYSC. That story you find on page 8. Just above the big story this morning, underneath the nameplate, Vanguard. It says at UK Nigeria Creative Industry Partnership launch. We get to see images here. So in case you want to find out who are those ones on this image, who are doing all of this, the special advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is actually there too. So in case you want to get all of those details, you need to go look at the Vanguard newspaper for you to find out. Above the nameplate this morning, Nigeria spends $817.4 million to service debts in 2 months. Nigeria spends $817.4 million to service debt in 2 months. You find that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Insecurity. Again, Senate summons security chiefs. Again, Senate summons security chiefs. Beside it, 18 months after recall, FG vetting candidates for ambassadorial post. That's according to a report. It says 18 months after recall, FG vetting candidates for ambassadorial post. Beside that one, we see this story. Death row inmates rise by 98 in 6 months. Death row inmates rise by 98 in 6 months. This is according to the Prison Acting Comptroller General. And you find that story in page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And I want to touch, a little bit on this particular story. Why? Because we've seen situations where, even on the papers, where, the Senate and the government is talking about decongestion of, the prison cells, the correctional facilities that we have in the country. And for so many times, we've heard that most of the people, allegedly, in the correctional facilities are on trial, awaiting trial, which are numbers and numbers of these people who are congesting the facility. Isn't it time we move to a situation whereby those are waiting trial, as long as it's for case which we understand that they can't even run away and all of that, simpler cases, that is cases that that they have to, once you seize their passport and you put them on check, they won't be able to leave the country. Why don't we do all of that so that we could decongest the prison? Because have you been to the prisons to just go do some sort of charity of recent? Do you see the amount of people that are there? Man, it is crazy. It is really, really crazy. So many things is wrong in so many aspects, and we need to start fixing them all for us to get a better country to the place that we believe it needs to be. We see also this story here. Speakership tussle. Let Obasa be. Tinubu tells Lagos lawmakers. Let Obasa be. Tinubu tells Lagos lawmakers. You find that story on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the sports corner, Osimhen, we can't afford to miss World Cup again in 2026. That cannot be overemphasized. Nigeria cannot afford to miss the World Cup in 2026. So it's necessary for Eric Chelle and his boys to make sure that Nigeria defeats Rwanda, defeats Zimbabwe. We have to win the rest of our games. We have no excuse. We have to win the rest of our games. Every game we face, any opponent that we have to qualify from the group from, we need to defeat them. I'm talking South Africa, I'm talking Rwanda, I'm talking Zimbabwe, all of them. It needs to be a win, and that is the only way we can be assured to have our seat in the 2026 World Cup, which will be hosted in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. A beautiful World Cup. So many Nigerians will resume. And of course, that's the much that we can take for the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Oh, 5 more minutes before I, skedaddle out of the studio. But it's important I talk about this particular story, which is in front of me at the moment, which says 18 months after recall, federal government vetting ambassadorial nominees. If you recall, if you've been a regular listener of the show, we've spoken about this a couple of times, that for the past 18 months, Nigeria do not have representatives, that is, ambassadors, in countries where they are really, really needed. It's good news that they are being vetted at the moment, because according to Reuters, which was that broke the news, it says the federal government is vetting ambassadorial nominees. It has to happen. I think it's coming later than when it's supposed to happen, because for 18 months we have Nigerians who are living outside the shores of this country who do not have a representative speaking for them. There might be somebody who's there but doesn't have ambassadorial powers because he's not an ambassador. There has been no ambassador there who represents the Nigerian interest in those countries. So this is good news. It's good that the federal government is looking into it so as to make sure that we have representatives in this country, making sure that the Nigerian interest is secured. It's coming a bit late, but better late than never is what they say. So we wish those ones who are being vetted good luck, and we hope those ones who are being vetted are those people who are capable of actually representing Nigerians' interests, not people who see the job as a means of retirement, a means of to just go relax outside this country and keep earning salaries. It needs to be a job given to people who understand that they play a role in representing Nigeria, and their actions, their image, things that they do goes a long way to represent the Nigerian people. They have to be as Nigerian as possible and make sure that every Nigerian voice in the country which they are placed is heard and is respected. So it's a beautiful one. We look forward to seeing those ones who will be finally nominated to represent Nigerians in different parts of the world as the ambassador in those consulates. So, good news. Insecurity. Senate summons security chiefs again. Yes, again. This is sad. Really, really sad, because we are in a situation whereby insecurity has plagued the nation so deep, and you ask yourself, what are they really doing? What is really, really happening? Is it that there's no political will to put an end to it? Or are we saying that these terrorists, these bandits, these kidnappers, these killer herders have more sophistications than our security agencies, are more coordinated? Are we saying they are better planned? Are we saying they are so good that our security agents can't handle them? I don't think so. I believe our security agents can handle them perfectly well, but I do not understand why they are not being handled. I do not understand why that is not happening, because for so long, so many things has been happening in the country, and it seems like it's not going away anytime soon. People are scared. people do not travel carelessly anymore. You can't just see someone invite you now and say, hey, I have a wedding so place. Why not you just call? Oh, really? Oh, no. I'd rather send you the money. Oh, it's crazy. I do not want to get kidnapped on the road. People are scared. People are scared from moving from one place in Nigeria to another. It never used to be that way. It is crazy. The government needs to do more. The security chief needs to start doing their job. They need to start understanding that it is a slap to their face that these things are happening. They need to start understanding that there is no excuse for them to still keep their jobs if they can solve the situation. I think that is the point that we need to get to as a country. When we have situations like this, and it's a year, it's a 2 years, you've had service chiefs and they've not been able to stop insecurity and they still have their jobs, we need to start moving to that point whereby when people do not do their job, there should be consequences for the fact that they've not been able to do their job. I believe when we get to that point, when and only when we get to that point, it becomes easier for us to have people who are accountable doing the job. It's only when we get to that point people will understand that, okay, I need to do what is right, because if I don't do what is right, by the time I am done here, I will face consequences. Until there are consequences met with people's action, whether good or bad, that is only when this nation will start moving in the right direction. You have someone who is head of economy, and the economy is not going well, let he or she face the consequence of the action. You have someone who's in charge of security, and security is not going well, let he or she face the consequence of the action. There needs to be, consequence to action of what these people who are in charge of different organizations, of different arms of the government. Once you are appointed to, dictate things that are happening in your particular ministry, in your particular arm, you should understand that it is your role to make sure things move smoothly. The president doesn't have to come tell you again what to do. Then why are you employed to fit that particular role? Why were you assigned to work that role if the president will have to keep reminding you of your job? It means probably you are not capable enough to do that job, and maybe, and just maybe, someone else needs to fix in to make sure that that job is done. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody who tuned in this morning to make sure that they were part of the program. It's always an honor to be here talking to you about the things happening in Nigeria on a daily. This is how we call it an end on today's edition of the newspaper review right here on our Impact Radio 102.1 FM. It is the Thursday edition, and I'm looking forward to the Friday edition tomorrow where we get to conclude for the week. My name is Uche Okorie. Have yourself a beautiful, beautiful Thursday ahead of you.